Yeah, I mean, the Celeste is available. I would not be surprised to see Celeste come off the board, but in Europe, we saw Celeste dropping to a little bit later in the draft in both of our games, so it could be a situation where they want to just wait on it, but no, they're just going to grab that Celeste right away, get it. And then the Lyra, which has been so focused on in Europe, also going to be going over to Vision.
That is a deadly duo, a ton of sustain, huge ability to kite. When Lyra puts up that bright bulwark, it makes it very difficult to try and dive on into the back line. Shaded talent, TSM picking up that Tony. That's a pick that he's very comfortable with. He's had some great bada booms and definitely gonna be trying to push Celeste back into the side of TSM if she steps out of position.
Yeah, and that's going to be where all of a sudden that Lyra play becomes extremely important as well, because if that Celeste gets out of position because of a bada boom, a portal could potentially get her back into the position she wants to be. So there's a lot of kind of interplay between these heroes thus far. And going into the next wave of bans, Samuel's going to get taken off the board. Vision Gaming saying, you know what? We feel like these are the two strongest mid laners. We're going to take one, take the other one off the board. So now you are forced onto what many people consider that third tier. Although Varia, I still say, should be in that top tier with the rest.
Varia, very good. I think the advantage of Samuel is with how important the early game has become. I would actually argue that Samuel is the strongest mage in the early game. I think Celeste definitely outscales him a little bit, but the early game pressure, not something that Vision wants to deal with. TSM opting for the Grace ban. Definitely interesting ban there.
Yeah, it's a little surprising when we've seen some Grace play flexed into the top lane. We've seen it played as a weapon carry. We've seen it played as effectively a second captain as well. So I think it's just the versatility they want to take off. I don't know if it warrants a ban, especially not this early in the draft, but Kroll going to go over to Vision. They've got to be very happy with their first 3 picks right now.
Getting Kroll all the way through into the second pick phase has basically been unheard of. TSM gonna have to be really careful here. Kroll can be very hard to deal with. They don't have a ton of kiting sustain. Daniel, however, going to be on his comfort Rona pick. Definitely something that has been banned away from him very frequently throughout this preseason.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm just still very surprised that teams are not just trying to ban or take away the Black Feather and Rona. He has played them almost every single game, I believe, and even going back before the preseason in other community tournaments, that's all he was playing is this Black Feather and Rona. It is by far his 2 most comfortable heroes. Even if he has a deeper hero pool, which I would assume he does, force him to show it at some point. Come on, guys.
Yeah, definitely. He's only played 2 different heroes, doesn't have the deepest hero pool that we've seen. Vision picking up the Idris, definitely an interesting pick there. We might potentially see a weapon power Idris this game, or it's going to be a safe lane crystal power Idris. We've seen that as well. TSM taking Glaive off the table, though. Another interesting ban out of the side of TSM. Not a hero we have seen a whole lot of in the preseason thus far.
I feel like these bans are almost targeted at different teams. Like, you know, Tribe has been running the Grace to great effect. We saw Slimy Salamanders with was it Slimy Salamanders or Rogue with the massive impact on the Glaive, and so but we haven't seen it really out of Vision, so it's a little bit surprising that they're focusing there. But then it's going to be the Lorelei as the final pick, another one of the more unconventional heroes that we have seen her a few times in the preseason.
Definitely something TSM works very well. Hammy's going to be playing that CP Lorelei up in the top lane. With those pools, the fish food, it can do so much damage to turrets, making very easy to push them. And that is so important to having here in this 3.2 update.
Yeah, I do also have to say, you know, just going back a little bit, I really like that Sky ban that Vision chose there. Sky, I think, would have worked really well with what TSM already had. If they put the Tony as a captain, Sky could dance around the Kroll, keep up with the Idris, get deep onto the Celeste. So I think that was a very, very smart ban. And then go ahead and grab the Vox. So now a little bit of flexibility. You know, do you go for the weapon or the Crystal? Idris and Vox, both of them can be flexed either way and still have a major impact in 5v5.
Absolutely. Vox, such a good counter pick to Rona. Picks up that Poison Shiv, knocks off all of her fortified health. Definitely something that TSM is going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, it's going to be something they have to watch out for, but I feel like TSM still will likely be a more confident team going into this matchup because they have just looked very strong.
Absolutely. Daniel, going to be the player to watch for the side of TSM on that Rona. Going to have to watch out for that Vox. He has looked so strong in this preseason, a huge factor on this Black Feather, making sure that he's keeping up all of his CS, all of his farm, staying even with the enemy team, picking up and punishing enemies whenever they're caught out of position. Shaded Talent, obviously a huge factor in getting that last kill. And even in this 1 versus 2, still making plays.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the other side of the Rise, I'm going to be looking at Neon Fire. Not so much for any of his positioning or his pressure like we look at for a lot of players, but I want to focus on his build path. For every single game thus far, he has built very, very little damage. Usually 1 offensive item, if he even gets that far. So, but he's been playing carries. It's been very strange to me to see his build paths. I want to see him build a little bit more damage, play more like a carry, look for damage, look for kills, instead of just trying to play like more of a utility or support player for the rest of his team.
Definitely a meta unique to North America with those utility top laners, something that Neon Fire is very comfortable with. Not going to be on one of those heroes today. He is going to have to step it up a notch with some of these mechanics. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be one of those situations where, a lot of it is based on what you have in compositionally. If you feel like you want to have that tankiness, then it can work. But in 5v5, with so much aggression coming out, I feel like you need to have that damage. You need to be able to match. If you're a top laner, especially, you're going to be split pushing a lot of the time. If you don't have that damage in your inventory and you go to split push, the other team's just not going to care. You're not going to be able to burn through their turrets quickly enough. So, I want to see something shake up for them because Vision has struggled a little bit here early in the preseason. Maybe getting a little bit more damage, a little bit more pressure is the key for them to kind of get things turned around.
Definitely. They need to make sure that they have a concise shot caller, making sure they're keeping everything organized against a team like TSM. Definitely going to be a huge upset here today if they are able to find victory. We're going to have to find out.
Yeah, and we'll have to find out. Unfortunately, we won't be finding out with the help of Malene, as we would love to get to see her on the Rise, as a lot of these players definitely have been having a lot of fun with Malene. Starting all over, took to Twitter alongside of Louis Vuitton, the two of them going back and forth a little bit over who was the better Malene. They went and had some 1v1s against each other, so the players are definitely ready to try and take her onto the Rise. It's just a matter of will she ever get through that first wave of bans.
Absolutely. The skill cap being so high on Malene. All these players starting all over, especially so mechanically gifted that they're playing her to her absolute max potential. And if she does get onto the Sovereign's Rise, she can be an absolute menace and monster to have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, something we talk about with Malene a lot is, how quickly you can use her abilities. A phrase that's used, or terminology in a lot of other esports is APM, or actions per minute. Those are through the roof with Malene, so much higher than any other hero that has ever been released in Vainglory.
Absolutely. She's very mobile. She's got great offense. Crystal Power mid laner, 5 abilities. That's a Vainglory first with 5 abilities. Definitely something that is a huge factor as to why all of these players are really enjoying playing her, but on top of that, why they are scared to let her go through the draft.
And you don't have to just take our word for it. You can go ahead and try and get yourself a free unlock of Malene. Just tweet at us using hashtag VPL or hashtag Lightform or hashtag Shadowform. We will announce the winners at the end of each broadcast. We've already given out 1. We have 3 more to give away this weekend. You definitely want to make sure you get entered into this. Or if you're feeling impatient or you just don't particularly feel lucky, you can head on into the app right now, go into the store, unlock Malene for yourself, and start taking her onto the Rise. You will not regret it. She is a ton of fun to play.
Absolutely. She's so good. Not surprising at all to see that she has been banned on the B side every single game thus far, especially in a best-of-1 situations. None of these teams want to take the risk of allowing the A side team to pick her up. I definitely expect her to be banned for the rest of today unless one team is feeling particularly bold.
And of course, that's to get involved with us on Twitter. If you want to join us on other social media, we have a brand new Instagram. You can follow us at Vainglory Esport. It is completely new, a lot of stuff getting posted there. But also, speaking of things that are completely brand new, how about the new studio that we will be moving into in just about a month now? I cannot wait to get over there. The brand new PokerGo studio at Aria Esports.
Vainglory Competitive Gaming has a new home in Las Vegas, the Aria Resort and Casino. The PokerGo studio, in partnership with ESP Gaming, the name behind the Vainglory Premier League. A state-of-the-art, multi-million-dollar showplace, streaming lounge, and the most advanced tech to bring you mobile esports like never before. Welcome to the new home for the Vainglory Premier League.
As soon as we are ready to get into that studio, it's going to be fantastic. As soon as we're ready to get into this next game, we will be getting onto the Rise. Unfortunately, we are just waiting for a couple of the players, get some device issues sorted out, but as soon as they are ready to go, we will be throwing it over to our casters to get the action underway. But for now, let's just continue to talk about this draft and what we're kind of expecting to see out of each of these two compositions.
So with the minions spawning faster now, I think 20 seconds into the game, there is more room and more opportunity for these teams to find these different rotations in and out of the jungle to try and position, especially when they have the early game advantage. I love Kestrel here in the early game. She can put on so much damage. That's something Vision is going to have to watch out for. However, if TSM overextends, Kroll can easily come in and punish that.
Now, as someone who was a former player and was the captain for your team, when you see the draft like this and you have a lot of flexibility options for your opposing side, I mean, both of these teams have a little bit of flexibility of how they can go. You can go a carry Lorelei or a carry Tony. You can go weapon or crystal with both Idris and Vox. Does that change, your last second preparations going into the game, trying to decide what your opponents are going to do?
It always comes down to how your pre-game preparation was. I think that both of these teams have the staff and even just the players' knowledge themselves to be able to say, this is how we want to execute. This is what we know works well. This is what we're comfortable with. And I don't think we're going to see anything too out of the ordinary. However, there's always room with these divergent build paths, whether it's weapon power or crystal power, for some of these players to kind of mix some of these things up. But I think that we're going to see very standard builds here today.
Yeah, and we've been seeing this Idris showing up a lot more in the drafts over the last really last week and this week. But coming into this week, we had a lot of different heroes picked. 32 of the 38 heroes in the game through the first 2 weeks have been chosen. Europe using 26 and North America using 27 unique heroes. Celeste, Samuel, and Tony have unsurprisingly been the most picked heroes. We do have 2 of those 3 in this game, and we're going to get to see them on Sovereign's Rise right now as we are heading into the game. It's going to be Denomine and Humanist with the call.
Thank you very much. Tasty bacon. Really a hell of a host, Denomine, I gotta say. And we are into the game. Team Solo Mid versus Vision Gaming. Denomine, how you feeling?
I'm doing all right, and Eunice, I do want to say I'm excited to see our boy Don Deasy in here playing for Vision. He's picking up this Kroll and hoping that he can really abuse that early game power of this hero.
Don Deasy stepping in here at the last minute. I mean, what does that do to a player?
Well, just shows that he was available for the team when they needed him, but now in 3.2, looking here at these rotations, we do see the teams going into that middle lane, getting that farm. Now the minions do spawn 10 seconds earlier, and then making rotations into the jungle. As we see, Vision Gaming, they did push into TSM's jungle. They did get that crystal buff, but TSM recognized the rotation, did the same themselves, and were able to take away the enemy's jungle as well. So we'll have to see who ends up getting out the better favor. As of right now, TSM, they're a couple hundred gold ahead.
So, kind of different rotations coming out in 3.2 here with the lane minions getting out there a little bit quicker. I personally like it a lot. Do you like those changes?
I do. I think it brings a little bit more of potential early engagement there in the mid lane, depending on how many people make that rotation and how much lockdown your team has specifically. Possibility to get an early pick, possibility to start that snowball up a little bit early, and some other changes that are huge to make note of here for 3.2 is Black Claw now spawns a little bit earlier at that 12-minute mark.
that's a big change as well. I did a little EU casting as well this morning, and I really noticed that Ghost Wing buff, plus 25% damage onto objectives, pretty big deal.
Yeah, especially for those really heavy split push heroes, you know, thinking of something like a Rona or a Scarf or a Celeste, someone who can really just obliterate those objectives. And, you know, it's definitely noticeable. So we're going to see a lot of prioritization onto those dragon objectives, you know, specifically, like you mentioned, that damage buff on Ghostwing. That's almost better than a Black Claw to me right now in this scenario, at least. So definitely interesting to see there. Now, Kestrel did make it through, but has been nerfed a little bit. Evader.
Evader looks like he's been debated. He's going to be the first blood, and Don Deezy getting chopped on down. And then TSM feeling pretty good about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting 2 on the board there early. They're now sitting 1,000 gold ahead in just 3 minutes. So they are starting to get the ball rolling on that. Shaded Talent, he is going to be on that Captain Tony. And with the Come At Me perk, you know, this Tony is going to be incredibly tanky on the front line. Not only is his build going to be very tanky, he's also going to get that big burst of barrier every 8 seconds when he takes damage. Now they found some damage on the pool. Not looking to be enough, though.
All right, Pool doesn't care. Long hair doesn't care. Lyra just got those heals. You can take that damage. Not really a problem. Next, I saw Minion Candy coming out there. Deezy! Getting taken on down there. Almost too easy as they take down that Don Deezy.
Yeah, and another Crystal Treant is now going to go over in favor of Team Solo Mid. I do believe theirs may be up as well, so we'll have to see as we get on over there. Oh, great taunt!
Back! Oh, come on, rain on the damage down. I'm looking for double kills here. Nom-noms, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And one huge thing that the side of Vision do have going for them is while Crystal Kestrel is still a massive threat, she's been tweaked a little bit to do a little less damage. At level 8, Lightning T is going to have the range to really zone out this Kestrel and the potential to do damage there. So really got to get Lightning T online as soon as possible. Got to make sure this Celeste gets, you know, basically super fed so she can get into the later stages of her build and hit that level 8 mark as soon as possible.
Well, I mean, what's a way that you're going to look to accomplish that? Are you giving some extra camps away over to that Celeste, or are you just protecting the Celeste? How does that work out?
Well, since the Krull specifically is behind right now, I would like to see Celeste make some rotations into the jungle and at least get the ambient experience and gold. Krull does need those last hits though, so it is going to be important for Krull to get the farm. Getting Celeste to level 8 though almost changes her playstyle. You can afford to be incredibly aggressive. You can start pushing back the enemy with your range and start sniping out some of these incredibly squishy targets. Both the Celeste and the Scarf are going to be going very heavy crystal builds, and they're going to be a little bit lackluster on their range, specifically that the Scarf can be body blocked out on.
And that Scarf's gone for Spellfire already, so Chuck actually having an impact. Like, even if it's not significant damage, it's just reducing what the Lyra is able to accomplish. Now, speaking of the Lyra, Pool having to boost himself out of there as he ran right into Shaded Talents and Cause. Vision Gaming trying to make rotations around the map, but TSM kind of in a forward position wherever they move. Look at those glimmer shots just splashing on through there.
Yeah, and I'm actually interested to see the Lorelei come through here for Hammy. It's not something we normally see him play, but it is going to give a little bit of an additional safety net, having that water wall for the team. And Daniel on the chase here.
Oh, turret into the one-shot. Daniel looking to spin to win. That's a turret down, essentially for free, as Pool and Evader really can't do anything there.
Absolutely. Can do nothing but watch that objective fall. And now, as we mentioned, that the Ghostwing is so much more important now in this 3.2 update. We see at TSM, they get a pick, they get an objective, and they're immediately pushing onto this Ghostwing, getting that buff, and now they have that additional 25% damage to structures. So in this 3.2 update, I can definitely expect we're going to see some faster games.
Indeed. A little taunt coming out of Shaded Talent, a little trash talk over there. And he's in a great place to be doing so. We're about 7 minutes in, TSM up 3-0, and they're going to get on this T1 turret here in mid. Deezy making his rotation over, only level 5. He was making a lot of movements up in top, but not getting any camps or any experience at all. So he was waiting for his opponent's jungle to spawn. It's kind of rough place to be in. Still level 5 at this point. TSM onto the T2 very easily. Daniel clipped by that Solar Storm, but not enough damage really to be threatening at this point. Chuck essentially untouched, just raining down Spitfires and Goops at this point, and doing a lot of work here. The minion wave has caught up, and they're going to be taking down the T2. In fact, there's a jump in by Daisy. The Dragon's about to roast him and toast him. He's going to get 2 off of that old portal. Oh, but he takes it down the spell for a triple kill. That's the best Chuck I've ever seen.
Yeah, huge plays coming out of Chuck there. Scarf did get some tweaks this update. The ignite damage coming out of the Goop is a little bit higher, and the damage over time is a little bit lower, but the base damage on
Vader's in a rough place. Continue, but Vader is probably going to get chased down.
I was just going to mention the base damage of that Dragon's Breath has come up a little bit as well. And just as I start talking, Vader does get picked off there on this Idris, just now completing his first tier 3. So we can definitely see how behind the builds are for the side of Vision right now. They're sitting down 6,000 gold, and it's not really a comfortable place to be in. They have the Celeste, thankfully, and hopefully Lightning T can carry them through the later stages of this game.
I love how Celeste is just like the saving grace for like the fallback whenever one team's just getting dominated, and it doesn't matter like literally what's happening. It can be game to game, whatever the drafts are different. The team who's getting roasted, and we're just like, well, I mean, they have a Celeste, so there's a chance here, right?
Celeste's late game potential is absolutely dominating for all causes, and just to get it out there easy. Dragon's Eye first, so he's not going to have that upfront burst, but as the team fights get longer, as long as he's able to stay safe, then he is going to start to obliterate targets. His one big concern is going to be Shaded Talent. He cannot get hit by that taunt, otherwise it's going to be way too easy for Daniel to get onto him and just ramp the damage up so quickly. We have the Serpent's Mask already, so we know how sustain heavy Rona can be, and Daniel's getting ready to complete the breaking point, and against a no defense target, Rona can build that breaking point up in just a mere couple seconds.
Now, a lot happening across the map here. I'm going to focus on Hamuel here for a second. Looks like they're potentially going to go on him up in top, but he hasn't really moved. In fact, he has more farm than anybody on his team. Switch down to bottom. Daniel able to take the turret. I don't know if they chase this on forward. Is it going to be a bait? The stun! As you see him waiting for those glimmers, maybe looking to turn around there. He'll have some mercy on Pool. Kaz, really a player.
Oh, almost got the kill there onto Pool, who's going to be able to make it out alive. Now, Chuck and Kaz both have the Spellfire, so we're talking about on the Scarf specifically how that item is so useful at keeping the healing down from Pool. They have 2 on their team, and can specifically, both of these heroes can hit multiple targets, get that mortal wound spread around a lot, which is going to prevent both the Fountain and the healing from not only Lyra, but also some of that self-sustain that Krull is going to be bringing to the table himself, and even the little bit that Neon Fire with the Poison Shiv is going to have.
That's a real feels bad type of situation. I mean, at this point, is it just like, okay, we don't really have an answer to that? Besides Lightning T just trying to keep himself safe, what is the plan?
I mean, the plan for the team right now is kind of just, you gotta turtle, you gotta get your farm, you gotta get a little bit further into your builds so that you can actually compete with Team Solo Mid, who have an 8,000 gold lead right now. Chuck and Kaz, they're able to poke through the front line with absolutely no problem, and that doesn't provide a lot of safety net for Lightning T or for Evader, who are going to be kind of those 2 hyper carry Crystal Mage scenarios here. Neon Fire, he does have the breaking point and the Poison Shiv, but he doesn't have a lot of raw damage to build that breaking point up very easily.
A little bit of a split push happening here. Splash damage raining on through. The Vader put down first. They're going to be taking Pool as well. TSM running on through Vision Gaming, and get over here. They're going to get another kill for himself, and why don't you get in there, get a little ace Shaded Talent with the bottom boom off the mark. And with that, it'll be 1 armory going down, 2nd armory as well. And why don't you guys just get in there and end this game?
Yeah.
TSM 11-0. We're not even 12 minutes into this one, as they just dominate Vision Gaming here. What a performance.
Yeah, they played absolutely amazing. They got those early buffs coming out of the Ghost Wing, and every single time we saw them make the rotations and push down those objectives. They played the early game so smart that they never gave Vision a chance to come online, and that's TSM picking up another point here in the preseason.
TSM absolutely dominated